Harper signed with the Phillies. Next level. If the Sixers are going to get to the next level, they need a killer. That's what it comes down to, plain and simple. They had one with Jimmy Butler. They let him go because they sided with Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons instead. That's history. That's in the past. You got to move through it. But Joel Embiid is not that killer. He's a guy that can win and play at an MVP level.
And during that time, I've tried hundreds of paint care products. And
guaranteed to be the glossiest, slickest, and easiest to apply paint sealant you have ever. Get professional gloss, shine, and protection for your vehicle with Cerakote's Rapid Ceramic Paint Sealant today. It's the #1 best-selling paint sealant in the country. Buy today.
Who has a better chance to make the Super Bowl, Damian? The Cowboys or the Jets?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. And, my main reason is the path of least resistance. When you look at the NFC as a conference, status and who's going to start, the season with the 49ers. Obviously, with Dallas and Dak Prescott, everyone talks about the interceptions. I get it. It was the most he had 15 interceptions in the regular season, the most of his career. But if you look at how that all went down, a lot of it was because of the lack of weapons on the outside being able to separate. For Dak Prescott, and obviously Dak Prescott got to be more cognizant of throwing the football, taking care of the football in critical situations in the game. But for me, when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I look at a team that is quite honestly not that far off from the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to have an elite defense. They got weapons on offense. They traded for Brandon Cooks to add another playmaker outside CeeDee Lamb. The biggest question, in my opinion, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, the play calling with Mike McCarthy, because he hasn't called plays since 2018, his last year with the Green Bay Packers.
That's what gives me pause why I'm going the other way with the New York Jets. And your point is very valid. When you got the gauntlet, that's the AFC compared to the NFC. There are less tougher compared to the New York Jets and the AFC. But there's a certain guy with the New York Jets they have right now. I think we've heard of him, called Aaron Rodgers. And he's done something that Dak Prescott hasn't done, and that has had playoff success.
You can catch First Take every weekday, 10 Eastern on ESPN.
And Williams coming back. Struck him out swinging with a change-up, and the ball game is over. 3-2 the final score. The Brewers have taken 3 of 4 from the Mets. Devin Williams loaded the bases and got out of it.
That is how it sounded on 620 WTMJ as the Brewers hung on for a 3-2 victory over the Mets, dropping New York a season high 9 games under 500 at the halfway point. That $355 million Mets payroll, 36-45. They've now lost 18 of their last 24. Still in Major League Baseball, Kyle Schwarber homered on the game's first pitch Thursday night. Taijuan Walker won his 5th straight start as the Phillies beat the Cubs in Chicago 3-1. And over in the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces routed the New York Liberty 98-81 for their 7th straight win. The Aces now 14-1 on the season. 24/7 protection when you bundle home, auto, and motorcycle. Learn more by visiting progressive.com.
From the top 5 NFL quarterbacks
So badly want to bring Super Bowl here to Buffalo.
Herbert rolling right, throws, touchdown.
to the top 5 NFL fan bases. We're ranking the top of everything in the NFL. This is ESPN Radio's Rank 'em, the top 5 offseason editions.
69 days until the start of the 2023 NFL season begins. Kansas City, the night they received their rings in front of a full crowd at Arrowhead Stadium, they're hosting the Detroit Lions. That'll kick things off here for another exciting year in the NFL. There was a whole lot of action a couple months ago in free agency, a lot of rosters changing their shape, some quarterbacks also on the move, and those getting some pretty big deals along with that. This is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. He's Joe Fortenbaugh. I'm Courtney Cronin, and we're sitting in for the guys on this Friday morning, going through our list of the top 5 NFL offseason additions as part of ESPN Radio's Rank 'em series. We've done wide receivers, we've done running backs, we've done the top 5 fan bases, the top 5 rookies we expect to finish in terms of production in the 2023 season. Now it's on to the offseason additions. Joe, the floor is yours.
Oh, we're not doing the number 5 this time. I stepped
Number
all over it the
5.
last.
Oh, there we go.
I didn't know if you wanted it. but
Now
here you
it's a
go.
classic
Number
troll
5.
job. That's all this has become at this point. Now it's a classic troll job. Job well done, gentlemen. Dalvin Tomlinson, defensive tackle, Cleveland Browns, will be my number 5 selection. 4-year, $57 million deal to come over as a free agent for a durable player. 93 of a potential 98 games he has appeared in. This is a big signing for Cleveland because they've had problems along the interior defensive line seemingly for a decade. You need guys in there to help free up Myles Garrett so they can do what they do on the outside. Cleveland was 19th in scoring defense last season, but they're a very good running team with Nick Chubb. And if you can run the ball and you can play defense like they do in San Francisco, you can control tempo. And if you can control tempo, you can control the flow of the game and you can dictate in your favor. That's what makes San Francisco such a nasty organization. For Cleveland, this is an opportunity this year with Deshaun Watson stepping into year 2 after coming off the suspension. A lot of rust last year. Cleveland could be a team on the rise. I think they are. This is a big signing for the defense, no doubt.
All right, my number 5 is Derek Carr going from Las Vegas after he was released to the New Orleans Saints as a free agent, the big quarterback domino, the first one to fall before we saw Lamar Jackson get his extension and then Aaron Rodgers go to the Jets. But I look at all of the pros for Derek Carr versus the cons. This league is very hot and cold on him, but we know he's a prolific passer, a 4-time Pro Bowler. He became the Raiders' all-time touchdown passing leader this past season. He's the only quarterback in Raiders history to throw for 30,000 yards. He goes to an offense that needs a boost. It isn't just the playmakers that they had and then didn't have these last couple seasons. It's the quarterback play that frankly has been pretty mid with Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. They're in a winnable division. They were 7-10 last year. They're looking for that boost at quarterback to boost the rest of the roster. He's a leader on and off the field. I think it'll be a win-win scenario. Derek Carr getting the fresh start this many years into his career. He got into the league in 2014. All those years with the Raiders, now he is joining the New Orleans Saints for the 2023 season, reuniting with Dennis Allen, who was his coach for a short period of time out in Oakland, rather. What's next?
Number 4.
Jalen Ramsey, cornerback, Miami Dolphins. Just because the Rams stunk last season doesn't mean you should forget about what Ramsey brings to the table. 28 years old, 6 straight trips to the Pro Bowl. And now you're going to pair him alongside Xavier Howard, the other cornerback in Miami, forming what many would believe is the best 1-2 punch at the cornerback position, with the possible exception of James Bradbury and Darius Slay in Philadelphia. This Miami team can score as long as Tua Tagovailoa is healthy. They've got playmakers all over the offense. The problem when it comes to competing at the highest level is the defense. 24th in scoring defense last year, 14th in opponent yards per play. They were a 9-win team in Mike McDaniel's first year on the job in Miami. You improve this defense, you improve the win total. Don't be surprised if Miami wins the AFC East this year while everyone's looking at the Bills and the Jets. Jalen Ramsey, offseason acquisition number 4 in my book.
All right, I'm also going defense for my fourth offseason acquisition. Javon Hargrave decided to tap into the very, very lucrative market for defensive tackles in free agency. He leaves Philadelphia after being a part of a defensive line unit that generated 70 sacks. That was league high last year. 18 and a half for him over the last 2 seasons. And what does he do? He joins the San Francisco 49ers defensive line that already has Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead part of its pass rush. So the rich continue to get richer defensively for the San Francisco 49ers, and Javon Hargrave along the way gets his bag, a very big contract extension for the 3 technique.
Number 3.
Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets. I know a lot of people will say that this should be number 1. I don't think it ultimately ends in a Super Bowl, but I think it's enough to get on the list. If I thought this was going to end in a Super Bowl, then yeah, I'd probably put it to number 1, but it's number 3. On offense at the most important position in the game. Garrett Wilson was your offensive rookie of the year. You can play defense. The offensive line has its concerns, but ultimately Rodgers should be there to put you over the top and get you back to the postseason. So he's offseason move number 3 for me.
Okay, this is not home cooking, even though I cover the Chicago Bears. This is fully objective because I'm looking at Justin Fields going into year 3 and all of the pieces that the Bears put around him, starting with DJ Moore. They got him in exchange for the number 1 overall draft pick when they sent that to Carolina. And they got a player who, no matter who his quarterback was over the last 6 years, he has produced 3 straight seasons of 1,100 receiving yards. He's coming off a career high 7 touchdowns. He's the number 1 option that a young quarterback needs to show, hey, I'm either a franchise quarterback or I'm not. DJ Moore will elevate this offense. He's already done it so far from what I've been able to see in OTAs and minicamp. Come training camp, in a way that Fields was not, in a way that was just not prevalent last year with Fields and any of his receivers. DJ Moore is a top 15 receiver. Some might have him in a top 10 list. He